more importantly, in historical terms, it gave Rafa major title number 19 and brought him within one of Roger Federer on this, the most well-known full screen in all of tennisdom. And of course, Djokovic hot on the heels of both Roger and Rafa with 17 and presumably counting. So as we welcome you back to Tennis Channel Live, obviously Rafa does most of his damage on the clay, and the clay court season is starting technically tomorrow. So, Martina, what are your expectations for Rafa as the clay begins, given this unusual layoff?
Well, it's going to be trickier for him than usually. Two reasons. He likes a lot of reps. He likes really a lot of match play, and he won't have, in his estimation, enough before the French. And the weather. It's going to be cold and rainy, wet, heavy conditions. Rafa likes it lively so that his topspin really pays off and he can move people around the court much better. The lower bounce, not so much. So I think two things are going against him, but still, of course, a heavy favorite.
I have a source of concern and a source of optimism. The concern, Rafa, and I've been talking to his camp pretty consistently through the break, and he's really been emotionally impacted by this whole year. I mean, think about that graphic, guys. He's the defending champion. He's one behind Federer. If he came here and defended his title, he would tie for the all-time major lead. He decided not to do it. Spain has seen a very high rate, and I'm told that, again, Nadal's had a very emotional year. On the plus side, he decided pretty early to focus on the clay. So he has not had a lot of misdirection. I mean, he knows what his schedule is going to be. He's had long layoffs before, and, of course, Roland Garros is where he does his damage. I think it's going to help that he decided fairly early on in this whole process he was going to really focus on the clay, guys.
All right, let's do a little Charles Schwab own your tomorrow with Rafa. His tomorrow will start in Rome, where he's won a whole bunch of times, 9 to be precise. Jim, Martina makes a great point. He thrives on reps, on testing his body. He does like the warmer conditions where his ball bounce is more effective. What do you expect for his tomorrow?
Well, he's going to come out raging like a bull when he gets to Rome, isn't he? I would feel sorry for whoever's going to play him in the first round. He's going to be so jacked up to play. Because let's face it, none of this was certain. We didn't know the U.S. Open was going to take place. We didn't know that the French Open was going to take place, or Roland Garros, excuse me. So for him, I mean, he's a guy who he will stay very narrow because that's the way he operates. He will focus on one ball at a time. That's part of his greatness. But he's going to be tough to beat. And the conditions, Martina, you're spot on. Those conditions are not optimal for him in Paris. Or Rome might be a little bit warm still, but in Paris it should start to cool off. And keep in mind also that you don't have as much daylight. So we'll probably have some tennis under the lights at Roland Garros for the first time. And that, again, once you get to there, the conditions cool down. His forehand isn't jumping. And we've seen him be vulnerable to people like Diego Schwartzman in heavier conditions when his ball can't get up out of their strike zone. He's still the favorite, but, boy, I think Djokovic is right next to him. And it depends on how Novak does here at the U.S. Open, how much rest and reps on the clay he gets at Roland Garros as well. But it's certainly understandable that he would choose not to play New York and save his tank of gas.
It is nice to see, by the way, that Rafa, for all his success, still drags his own courts, even at his own academy.